of this reload object db item. Okay. So somehow we're going to scheme a method that basically how this works, and I'm going to do my best to explain this, is now that we have our server sync hooked to our damage multiplier config item, we've attached an event listener to our config item. And our event listener says basically anytime that this value changes in any way, shape, or form, fire off this event. So now I have to fill out what I want this event to do with said item. So I need to basically get my altered damage multiplier value and apply it to the item drop inside of my item, and remove and reinsert it to the object DB, which sounds like a big circus, but we'll figure out how to do it real quick. So let's write ourselves some quick notes to figure out how to do this. This is fired when setting for damage mult is changed. Load our prefab, get item drop, edit damage. All right, so that's kind of my scheme right here. And I kind of like to do this when I'm writing code so that I know, like, well, where am I going with this thing, and what is my plan? So this top one is more or less just a note for myself so that if I ever come back to this thing, I'm going to know that reload object DB items is an event method that I set up that gets fired when my multiplier is changed. So the first thing I want to do is grab our prefab. Our prefab is already declared as a global object that we can call to. So let's do and what that is going to do is initialize our prefab a second time. I know that we've already initialized it in the awake method, but the reason that we're doing it this way is we want to call it from object DB because we want to get the most current instance of our weapon, not the one that was made on awake. And the reason I'm saying that is because the one in the object DB might have already been edited as opposed to the one in awake. So we want to pull most recent copies is how I'm thinking of it. And this is just my strategy behind it. So as my dad used to say, there's many ways to skin a cat, and I'm sure that somebody else will have a different way to do that. So I've already got our prefab loaded. Now I need to remove it from the object DB. So we'll make a quick for loop for that. We'll call this like object DB current list equals items. I think we could do. All right, so that takes care of removing it from the object DB. Now we want to edit our value in it. So how we're going to do this is we've already grabbed the item drop up here, but why don't we move that code right here so that we can make sure that we have the current item drop for our current prefab. So right after we assign the prefab, we want to assign the item drop that we're going to grab and edit. So item data shared damages, and then we wanted to change the overall damage multiplier. And remember when I said that I think this is an integer, but it might be a float. It looks like it's a float, so I need to change my data type, and then we can do All right, so edit the values done. Now I need to reinsert this object to the item DB after I've edited its value. So I heard that the values changed. I figured out what my item is. I removed it from the object DB. I edited the value, and now I got to reinsert my edited item back into the object DB. So let's just add our demo sword prefab back. And we don't even need this method I was making. Okay. So if everything went well, I should be able to build this mod, load the game up, edit my value inside of the config file, and then when I edit my value, the damage should change in game. So let's test that out and see if I fucked up anything. Oh, I fucked something up.
All right, I'm in here. What's up?
I fucked something up. I gotta fix real quick. The locking or this thing.
Uh-huh.
I gotta. It's mad at me. 1 second.
Let me make you full screen. All right, show me what you got.
That should just fucking work, but. Set method not found for is locked. Like, does that not exist anymore? Is that a defunct? Is it defunct now?
You have to have her latest one from item manager.
Uh,
Uh, the item manager server sync DLL from that. That if you're using my project, that's where I pulled it from. So
your project was fucked up on Git.
really, why?
Not up to date. You're missing a commit.
I shared it directly from my project right before I left. What does it say? Huh, interesting. Okay, hang on.
Oh, so it
Okay.
literally was the version of server sync I was using. Okay, so that method was just defunct.
Yeah. Did you grab it from item manager?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the correct one. She updated something in it. Item manager is the latest one that works with guilds and can synchronize all config values.
All right. Cool. So there's our test value, and here's our test header. And I don't have a description there for some reason, which is really awesome. But we'll figure that out here shortly. I don't know how many of you guys like to debug your code, but it's pretty much the only way I can make sure that things are going on. So what I'm going to do is turn on the debugger and set a breakpoint inside of my event method that's supposed to fire when this value changes. And then I'm just going to put a break somewhere in here so that I can make sure that my event method goes off. We're in game. I have way too much crap in my inventory because I was testing something. Here's our greatest sword ever. It's sweet. It's awesome. We're holding it. It's amazing. Cool beans. Okay. So let's try and change this to 10 and see what happens. Is debugger not working? Why I have no output? Bro, if I have to make a file watcher for that shit, I'm gonna be mad.
You should need to set a
Yeah, it's
file
just the
watcher.
BepInEx config settings change like event. It should just fire when the settings change, right?
No. Not if you're changing the physical file itself. It needs to be a file watcher.
Then I have to do it through the F1 thing for it to do what
Yep.
I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay.
It should fire when you do it that way. I think you clicked in the console, which is what killed it.
No, I definitely did. What is that called? It's like BepInEx config.
Yeah, BepInEx
thing.
Configuration Manager. You can download it from Thunderstore as well if you, but going straight to their GitHub is also good.
I apologize. I don't really use the in-game configurator that often, so I did not know that. And I fucking know why. It's because the goddamn config.save thing doesn't happen.
Yep. Config.save and config.reload happens with the configuration manager, which triggers the setting change event.
Okay, so now my
Changing
debug
the
should work.
physical file needs a file watcher.
Well, we can go over a file watcher in another day because Blackson had to basically hold my hand for that shit.
I kind of got it down. I got it in Skill Capper pretty nice. The only thing that messes with me is the YAML stuff, because to me it's different than JSON, but everybody keeps telling me it's the same.
All right, so theoretically, if I am to hook up to my game now, so my debugger is attached, that's what all this stuff means, and I have my breakpoints set up here. When I press F1 and I edit the value for the damage, I should get an alert here in Writer, and I'll get some data. You guys will see. And basically what I'm doing and why I care about this is to make sure that my custom code runs when the value changes. Otherwise, it's not actually doing anything, and I'm probably going to sit here for hours pulling my hair out going, well, what the fuck did I do? When I could just have it tell me. So let's find our greatsword, and we're going to change our damage to like 50. All right, cool. And you see over here, it's now hitting a breakpoint. So what this means, this yellow arrow in my debug is saying, well, we're stopping execution at this point in code. And the other reason I like to do this is to make sure that all of my code logic that I've written with each little comment next to it goes as planned. So I'm going to make sure that my define for the prefab goes, cool, no red text. Getting my item drop, cool, no red text. Now I'm going to make sure that the removing from the object DB goes okay. I'm going to set another breakpoint here and here so I can just skip that. All right. So obviously something fucked up. Specifically when removing the object from the...
Did you break after removing it?
No, that's why.
Yeah, it might be complaining because you modified the collection.
It is. So that's essentially what's going on, and that's why I like to run debug. Otherwise, I could be going, well, where did I fail at? Did I fail at setting my multiplier value? Did I fail at reinserting to the object DB? Did I fail at assigning my item drop? Did I fail at, maybe filling my list before I went through my for each loop? And you can see specifically from my breakpoint that I failed. I got red text. It's basically saying your collection, your list that you just filled up here was modified. So it's more or less saying the thing I'm looping through was modified while I'm looping through it. So I have unknown results now, is how I understand that. And I'm not a programmer, so I could be giving really shitty information right now.
No, man, that's pretty accurate.
So
Maybe
basically,
just
I need to
changed
go
it one
back in here and break from my for each loop once I find my object. And then that way, everything will be happy. I don't know how to do that, so I could do it a different way. And this is probably super ghetto, and why Azamat laughs at me.
Don't you literally just put like break colon, break semicolon after you remove it in the if condition?
No, that would be for a switch statement.
Oh, okay.
Fine, fuck you, C#9. It is initialized now. So theoretically, that should be able to loop through, and while I'm looping through, I'm going to set a variable, basically saying in the object DB, if any of the game objects in the object DB match my prefab, my custom item's name, set this temporary item as the custom name, and then remove the temporary item. I don't know. That should work, right?
Honestly, I would probably add it to a list of temporary items and then remove the whole list at once.
You're right. You're right. Because there could be more than one occurrence.
Yep.
Whoa there, capitals. I mean, yeah, that should be foolproof enough. All right. Got to remember to hook the debugger up. I probably need to add a safety statement inside of my custom method as well that says if the object DB doesn't have any items inside of it, don't even try bothering to run the rest of the code because it won't work.